Today, we are about to discuss the fascinating selection procedure and requirements for becoming a male concubine in ancient Rome. These men served as companions to the wealthy and powerful. In light of this, get ready to immerse yourself in the lavish lifestyles and stringent expectations that come with these prized positions. Let's just jump right in. Let's get a grasp on the function of male concubines in the Roman Empire first, before we go into the specifics of the selecting procedure. These were not your typical servants. Rather, they were companions, confidants, and even lovers to the wealthiest and most powerful people in Rome at the time. It is imperative to look more into the multifaceted function that these individuals played in the lives of Rome's elite in order to get a better understanding of the intriguing selection process and requirements for becoming a male concubine in the Roman Empire. Male concubines were not only servants in Roman society, rather they occupied a distinct and powerful role in the culture of the Roman Empire. Male concubines were selected not only for their physical characteristics, but also for their capacity to offer their patrons companionship and emotional support. This was an important factor in the selection process. These companions were confidants and friends in a society where elite members often had to contend with feelings of isolation on a daily basis. They were there whenever it was necessary to not only listen, but also provide guidance and comfort. As was briefly discussed earlier, Roman culture placed a high premium on education and intellectual capacity. Male concubines were frequently educated people who were able to hold intellectual conversations with the men who paid them to serve as concubines. They evolved into sources of not only physical pleasure, but also mental stimulation in addition to that. They could talk about things like art, literature, and philosophy, which would make the lives of their customers more interesting. A great number of male concubines have artistic abilities, such as the ability to sing or play a musical instrument. They were frequently requested to perform at social gatherings, banquets, and parties all around the country. Their performances brought a level of refinement and culture to these gatherings, which is one of the reasons why they were in such great demand as guests. Being linked with a male concubine who had links to powerful families or individuals could open doors to opportunities and social circles that might have otherwise been unavailable. This could be the case if the male concubine had connections to influential families or individuals. These companions had the ability to introduce their patrons to other members of the Roman elite, which facilitated the formation of significant relationships and alliances. Male concubines served their clients in the capacity of a status symbol in some respects. Having a gorgeous and cultured companion by their side was a means for the privileged to demonstrate their wealth, as well as their refined taste in companionship. It was a proclamation of their status in society, as well as their ability to attain the best that life has to offer. Trust was the foundation of each of these relationships, and it was essential that both confidentiality and loyalty be upheld. It was expected of male concubines to uphold the highest standards of discretion and loyalty at all times. They were privy to the private lives of their customers and constrained by an unbreakable code of silence to maintain that confidentiality. The maintenance of this level of confidence was essential to the continued existence of these partnerships, relationships that verge on the intimate. Although not all male concubines were required to engage in romantic or sexual encounters with their customers, for others, this was an integral part of their job. Relationships between people of the same gender were not unusual in ancient Rome, and male concubines often developed romantic feelings for their male companions. These relationships brought an additional level of complication to the positions that they played. In Roman society, male concubines held a role that was both varied and singular in nature. They served multiple functions, including that of friends, intellectuals, entertainers, and confidants, all at the same time. Their friendship was more than just a physical one. They played an important role in the mental and social lives of the people who frequented their establishment. The procedure of becoming a male concubine and the criteria that were used to select candidates were, in many ways, a reflection of the complex wants and aspirations of the Roman aristocracy. It was a world in which attractiveness, talent, and the ability to connect with others on an emotional level were highly coveted, and individuals who inhabited this esteemed position were at the heart of a society that was both dynamic and sophisticated. But how did one get into such an enviable situation in the first place? The candidate's physical appearance was of the utmost importance if he wanted to be considered for the role of a male concubine. Aesthetics were given a great priority by Romans, particularly those in positions of power. It wasn't enough to simply be handsome. One had to exemplify the very best of Roman beauty standards. It was necessary to have a body that was proportioned well, clear skin, and decent grooming. In point of fact, the selection of certain male concubines was dependent on the degree to which they resembled well-known statues of the era. It was believed that if a person resembled a piece of art, they would be more desirable as a partner, and so more likely to be treasured. The candidate's outward look was not the only factor considered. Both education and intelligence were considered to be of equal importance. It was expected of many of the male concubines that they would engage in intellectual discussion with their clients. It was very desirable to have a command of Greek and Latin, in addition to having an understanding of poetry, philosophy, and the arts. It wasn't only about winning the favor of their patrons. They also needed to prove that they could compete successfully in Rome's most exclusive social circles. These concubines were more than simply visual pleasure. They were well-versed and cultured persons in their own right. However, the intellectual prowess of male concubines was not the only talent they possessed. It was anticipated that a good number of them would have artistic and musical ability. The capacity to create works of visual art, sing, or play musical instruments gave a new dimension to the desirability of the individual. They had the ability to put on riveting performances for both their customers and their guests. These skills weren't just for show. They were also a way for them to strengthen relationships with their customers and improve their standing in society. When it came to Roman society, social relationships were more important than anything else. Numerous male concubines were selected not just for their unique talents, but also for the connections they carried with them. This was a significant factor in the decision-making process. Being linked to powerful families or having other relationships to such families might provide access to opportunities that are difficult to fathom. Imagine going to opulent meals, rubbing elbows with senators and dignitaries, and earning entry to Rome's most elite gatherings. All of this would be possible. Being a male concubine was, in some circumstances, a path to gaining social and political power. Now that we have everything out of the way, let's talk about the selecting process itself. Getting a patron's attention and becoming a patron's male concubine typically started with an introduction or a recommendation from a member of the patron's social circle. Who you knew and who could vouch for your qualifications were the most important factors in getting hired. After being presented, prospects would be put through an exhaustive screening procedure. This consisted of interviews, demonstrations of their talents, and occasionally even a trial period in order to demonstrate that they were compatible with the patron's way of life. The preferences of the customers were a crucial factor in the decision-making process. Roman elites had their own preferences for physical appearance, abilities, and personality traits, much as individuals do now. Much as people have different interests, Roman elites had too. Because male concubines frequently have to adjust their behavior in order to satisfy these requirements, each selection is one of a kind. Adaptability was both a skill and a necessity for people who wanted to play the part of a male concubine, which was considered to be a very prestigious position. Once selected, male concubines experienced a world of luxury and privilege once they became part of the concubine system. They lived in lavish mansions, indulged in delectable meals, and adorned themselves in the most gorgeous garments. Their customers provided for all of their requirements, from medical care to recreational activities. In certain situations, male concubines were granted access to the highest levels of Roman society's privileges and benefits. They were a prestige symbol that expressed their owner's wealth as well as their refined sense of style. Even though male concubines were afforded a great deal of privilege, their lives were not devoid of difficult situations. The lines between friendship, mentorship, and romance were frequently crossed in their relationships with the people that frequented their establishment. These interactions could prove gratifying at times, but difficult at others. While some male concubines were able to create profound emotional ties with their clients, others had to contend with jealousy and competition from their fellow companions. It was a world of decadence and mystery all at the same time. The practice of male concubinage in ancient Rome provides us with a window into the complex network of ties and aspirations that shaped Roman society. It serves as a reminder that human nature is timeless and universal, including the aspiration to seek beauty, intellectual achievement, and social ties. If you found this excursion through the past to be as fascinating as we did, be sure to click the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we can bring you further interesting investigations into the past. Keep discovering new things, keep expanding your knowledge, and never stop pondering about the mysteries of our common history until we meet again. We appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today. We'll see you in the future video.